Okay. All right, welcome back to Aligning with Success. I'm your co-host, Mike DiMuccio with Dave Rolfe, and it is week 29 of this year, 2025. It's July 20th, is it? 21st, July 21. Somehow that's a significant date. I'm not sure why, but it is. July 21, 2025. Here we are.
Well, I'll tell you how significant it is.
How significant is it?
Well, it's 6 days before my birthday.
Oh, well, there you go. 6 days before your dirt and 8 days after my daughter's.
There you go. So Leo's, Leo's.
Cool. So wait, 6 days before. So does that make you a Leo? That makes you a
Yeah,
Leo. No
yeah,
wonder. Yeah. Leo is the
yeah,
entertainer.
yeah.
Very outgoing personality, Leos. My,
Yes,
my
yes,
son's a
yes.
Leo, although he's later in the month. Cool. Nice. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Honestly, I'm so talked out, I don't even know what to talk about. Let's see.
I
We
got a
had
couple
a
of thoughts.
Okay, well, we did have Master Day this past weekend, so maybe some thoughts as well from your takeaways there. That could be good too for those who have given some thought to what you were all exposed to. I did have somebody on the call, and they said the techie stuff was a little bit too techie for me, but I thought it was quite good information because it gave us some context for why things are the way they are, and then a little bit rough around the edges sometimes when it comes to Niken's advancements in tech. I was surprised to hear how many companies in their transition to a new technology, a new platform, have failed, and some reverted back to their old stuff. So yeah, that was interesting. Go ahead, Dave, jump in.
Well, I was doing some study in another area altogether, and the highlight of what I was reading was that six is directly related to knowledge. So I was thinking about in what we've been doing for the past 28 weeks, and this being week 29, is providing knowledge. And if we, and this was actually a simple aha when I looked at, you take a heart surgeon. Well, what gives him the ability to be a heart surgeon? Knowledge. You take a aerospace engineer. Well, what makes that guy so special being an aerospace engineer? Knowledge. You take an entrepreneur that knows how to flip houses, or knows how to invest in passive real estate like Grant Cardone. What what was the key to that success? Knowledge, how to. And we talked about this last week that, a lot of the stuff that's going on the internet. I have the fortunate ability. I come into San Francisco every day and I take a ferry. And on the ferry is, there's a few hundred people that take this ferry, and everybody's on their phone or on a computer. Nobody talks anymore. It's really an amazing phenomenon. But I like to watch some of the Instagram reels to see what is being promoted. And like Mike said last week, and what his observation was, what people are pitching you on is how to. And so if we reverse that for just a moment, then the audience, a lot of people are looking for the how to. Obviously, because if these guys didn't produce it, they're producing it because they found that people are looking and they get customers and they sell them their services and their goods, and just like we do. And that goes from the time they started selling computers and all the way back, selling insurance, selling oil and gas investments, the stock market. They all operate on the same basis of knowledge is then communicated to somebody that either doesn't have the time or doesn't have the education or the existing knowledge, and they're looking for it. So again, I got to go back to the story, but prior to getting involved in network marketing altogether, I relied on tabloid magazines, and I was looking in those tabloid magazines for opportunities. The young guy is in my 20s. I didn't like working for other people. It just was frustrating. I just didn't have this sense of loyalty, all that sort of stuff. And every time they gave me something to do, I figured, well, I could tell somebody how to do that. So, so why don't I get my own deal? And that's what I started to look for. So as I was looking, what was I looking for? I was looking for the how-to. I wanted to know. So when I talked to somebody, what the curiosity became, well, how do you do this? How do you make this work? How do you turn this into to making money? So I was I snuck across the border in 1980 into the United States and on a pretended vacation, never to go back, and without saying any wrong terms here, and I was stuck. I worked in the construction industry because I had nowhere to go. I didn't have the right paperwork, what have you, and I was getting desperate because those jobs weren't providing the income. So I found a company that was advertising in the paper that was offering this program of oil and gas lease rights on government land. And again, I never heard about this before. I mean, this was like, wow, where did this come from? I didn't know this existed. Of course, why didn't I know it existed? Because I never studied, looked at it, read about it, heard about it from anybody. Nobody told me. So it was foreign information. But what was I looking for? I was looking for a better way, a better mousetrap, a better idea, a way to make income, those kind of issues. So I followed the trail, went in, talked to these guys, and they showed me how to do it. That's simple. I went to their company. They had perfected it. They figured it out. They made it work. They had done all kind. People were making money hand over fist as brokers. And they had clients that made millions of dollars with awarded leases that oil companies bought. So what I had to figure out, well, what do I need to do? So they went and put me in training for a week. I sat in this room and they had a trainer and there were about 8 or 10 other guys in that room and they explained the process. They explained how it worked. They explained the compensation plan. They gave us a script and they made us practice the script with each other and they answered questions, they dealt with objections, and they showed us all the paperwork and how you go from A to B. So at the end of the week, then you were somewhat educated and had the knowledge of what to do. And then I went to work for the guys and they gave us leads on cards and we had the script on boards in the wall and a little cubicle and a phone and you call the guy up. Hi, Mr. Jones. My name's Dave Rolfe. I'm with Leland Capital. How are you today? And blah, 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 blah. And the idea was that I would send them information if they were qualified. Now, this is a big, big key thing from the standpoint of that qualified. How would they be qualified? Well, they were investors. They were qualified because they've made investments. They were qualified because they were so somewhat accredited, which means they'd had past experience. And they were qualified because they wanted to make money in the oil and gas industry. And they were qualified because they could spend ten to $50,000 on an investment. Then they'd get the package sent to them. So I had to learn to communicate to people over the phone without knowing them or seeing them and asking, and this is all boding well with everything that everybody's doing right now, but asking them questions about who they were, what they liked, what they did, where they lived, all of those kind of things, so I could get a sense of who I was talking to, so that I could understand how to proceed further. And then again, you send out the package, you call them back a week later, and of course, like anything else, you call them back a week later and they're not there. You call them back a week later, oh no, I'm not interested. You call them back a week later, oh, I got sick and I'm not interested, I can't do the same. So you heard every excuse under the sun, moon, and stars of why they couldn't get there, which then led back to the first part of, well, I guess I didn't qualify in the right way because I phoned them up and I went to make the presentation and they were no longer interested. What happened? Why did they lose their love for what we talked about? Because they were, yeah, send me the information. Yeah, I want to take a look at it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yeah, I want to do this. Then you call back a week later, click. No, I don't want to talk to you ever again. Bang, click, etc., etc. So I had to learn that, okay, that's just part of the process. And I sold lots of the deals. I got people that spent money, all kinds of money doing this. I remember my first guy, the guy says, yeah, I want to do, because you go through the script and the end says, well, let me get you started. And then the guy says, okay. And I didn't know what to do. So I put my hand up and I'm going like this. And my manager comes over and he grabs the phone and he takes us over and he walks the guy through the rest of the deal, the ABC.
Mm.
And the paperwork came in the next day and I got my check. So here was the aha. The aha was with knowledge, I can control a circumstance and get the result that I want to get. And I made a career out of this. And then again, with network marketing, same deal. Absolutely the same deal. In other words, in Mike and I's experience of 35 years, we've seen lots of people. And I have to say that, the people that really did well in this, they took it on, they went to work and they gained as much knowledge as they could about what they were doing so they could be effective out there. But again, you're the CEO of your business, and the key to this is, your pride. You want to walk out there with your chest out there saying, I know how to do, I made it work. I did this, blah, 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 blah. But we sometimes get caught up in other emotional issues that aren't related to what we're doing. They're byproducts of what we're doing. And again, this is a key issue. So when I read this article, I was thinking, my goodness gracious, here we are. We're giving all the knowledge we possibly can to anybody from A to Z, what you need to do, how to be successful, how to be a multimillionaire, how to build a huge organization, et cetera, et cetera. So the key for you then is to learn this as much as you possibly can. And again, I was thinking about this, well, we should have an exam because the courses I'm taking, you have to get 100% correct. If you don't get 100%, guess what? You have to do it again. And as a result of doing that, you pay attention. Now, here was the next part of this article that I read. Failure comes about because of misunderstood words. Just think about this for a second. Somebody doesn't understand a term, a word, and they blow from the area. They can't confront it. They can't deal with it. And that's the downfall. Clean up their language, clean up their understanding, educate them, and move on. So I thought that was kind of a neat article. I thought it fits very well with what we're doing. And, maybe we can use this as a stepping stone, Mike.
Okay. Questions, comments? Come on, guys, open conversation. Yes, Shrill.
I got on a little late, but thank you very much. So it's boiled down to me that I'm looking for people that want to buy Nikin products, use Nikin products, sell Nikin products, and find other people who want to buy Nikin products, use Nikin products, sell and share Nikin products, and find people who want to. It's just a cycle. That's the cycle that my mind is in. That's what I'm looking for. So I know I'm gonna
That's
go
kind of
ahead.
one step. That's a yes to somebody who knows what Niken's about. But before they even know what Niken's about and are agreeable to those things,
Yes.
what is it that you're looking for?
Okay. So right now. I'm just looking for people that will take a look. I'm not
Why
looking.
would they take a look?
Well, I'm actually continuing to build the relationships that I have with the people that I live around now. So making myself more visible and making myself more getting into conversations with them. So if something peeks out to me, then I can ask them if they'll take a look. I'm not afraid to ask someone and they say no. I thank them and I move on.
No, that's good. That's fine. But you're still one step down the road. Before even that happens, before you ask them to look at something which is presumably a solution,
Yes.
what is it that you need to know?
What their wants are, what they're looking for, the things
Right.
that
So
make
what are
sense to
you,
them.
so in that regard, what are you looking for? There's a guy
I'll
that
tell
I
you.
saw speak live. Hang on, Dave. I know you have the answer. There's a guy that I saw speak live many, many years ago. He's still a very formidable public speaker. and an author, and his story is absolutely amazing. And I think Paul Gavius recently talked about him or posted about him, and he said, "You gotta be hungry."
Yeah.
So,
So
what are
that-
you looking for? You're looking for people who are hungry. Hungry. So,
Les Brown.
Les Brown is the name. And what exactly are they supposed to be hungry for? Well,
A
they're not
solution.
hungry for buying Nikken products, and they're not hungry for selling Nikken products, and they're not hungry for sharing Nikken or Nikken products. Those are the mechanisms that we do because we're hungry for something that would allow us or cause us to do those things. What do they got to be hungry for?
A solution.
Yeah. So
Something that they
why,
want.
what do they got to be hungry for to buy Nikken products? What do they got to be hungry for to buy Nikken products?
A better quality of
Wellness.
physical life and mental life, in
Okay.
my opinion.
What do they got to be hungry for to want to share Nikken?
Perhaps an experience
That's what they're hungry
with the
for.
products.
What do they
But
got to
why
be
don't you just
hungry
tell me? Because
for?
I'm missing it.
What do
So
they
just-
got to be hungry for that would prompt them to want to share Nikken products?
Okay, so for me, it was the product experience. And then when I saw everything else that Nikken had to offer,
What do you get out of sharing it?
fulfillment, purpose.
Kind of fulfillment, purpose, fulfillment. Okay, so you're hungry for purpose and fulfillment, and you found that once you identified with the Nikken products and that raised the stakes and gave you purpose and passion, you wanted to share it because that's your purpose to share and make a difference in the lives of others. So you're hungry to make a difference. You're hungry for purpose. And you found that in Nikken. You found a way to connect those dots.
Yes.
But if I'd have said to you, Nikken, 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 without connecting that, there would have been no connection. You had to come to that connection. So being hungry for a better health is a driving factor in why somebody would want to buy the products. Being hungry for helping other people is a driving factor for why they might actually get fulfillment out of doing this as a business. So, but at the bottom line is if they're not hungry, they just won't be motivated to take the action. So
Right, but yes, go ahead.
it's really, it really comes down to people being hungry. Otherwise, you're pushing a limp noodle.
Well, yes, I understand that. And I didn't mean buy Nikken products, use Nikken products, sell Nikken products, or share Nikken products. That's part of what drives me.
Yeah, that's what we
talk
do.
about I don't talk about Nikken when I'm approaching people. I get to know them. I get to know what it is that they want. I'm listening to them while they're speaking. And then if there's an opportunity, perhaps at that time, perhaps not, then I will ask them if they will take a look at something that could be a solution.
Cheryl,
Yes.
what you described is what we do.
Yes. Okay.
We buy Nikken products. We use Nikken products. We tell people about it. We share Nikken products.
Yes.
This is what we do.
Yes.
But why we do what we do,
That's divine.
that's where you got to be
There's-
hungry. That's the
Oh,
hunger
yes.
part.
I agree with that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wes,
Yeah, on Saturday, they showed us a chart that showed that in all their markets, the fifth pillar seems to be the most important, the most in need. I thought that was an interesting.
being
Absolutely.
money, right? So that was okay. That was a good point. It was not surprising for any of us on this call to hear that the number one motive was money. And yet it seemed like it was a surprise to Alejandra that the number one motive was money. Meanwhile, we've been telling them all the time, the number one motive is money. Come onto my call, you'll hear me say that out loud. That the number one reason is always money. It's always the financial pillar, followed by health is number two typically. So yeah, that's what's driving these people, us and others like us, to do what we do as Nikken consultants. The hunger is for financial financial abundance, financial success, financial assurance, financial security, but it is financial. So if that's the case, back to you, Sherrill. If if the number one motive for the people who are buying Nikken products, using Nikken products, and sharing Nikken products is hunger to have financial success or financial security, then what are you looking for? People who are hungry to have financial success or financial security. And then you're going to show them a way they can have that. And then they will buy Nikken products, use Nikken products, and tell other people about it.
Mike,
agree.
when I said the other day from these people, I didn't know anything, that's not true because we had them fill in a questionnaire and we had a scale of income that they could earn that went up to $500,000, and couple of those people actually put that. They actually, a year. I guess my problem is people will put what they would wish to have or like to have, but there's a whole learning, and they don't even know. I mean, they know maybe a tiny bit about the product, but if all you want is money, but you have no interest in wellness, or you want money from oil, it won't work. So it always, I think it has to go back to, is this the way you want to make, is this the way you want to do it through wellness? You have a passion for that? Because if you don't have a passion for that, I don't necessarily know that it would work. So we kind of have to go back to wellness and, okay, where do you want to start with your own?
Well, yeah, again, we get back to the mechanism and being in integrity with the mechanism. But I'm curious, Paul, when somebody says to me how much they want to make, I usually the first thing I want to ask them is where are they at now?
Yes,
And
okay.
it's important to have that because it's not to say that their desire, their hope is pie in the sky, but it does tell me a lot about where their head is at and what their consciousness is about money. So if a person says, I want to make $500,000 a year, and I ask them, well, where are you at now? And they say 50,000. Okay, so you want to 10x your income. What are you willing to do that? That's an
Right.
open-ended question, but it's an honest question. What are you willing to do? And if the person comes back with whatever it takes, I'm talking to the right person. If you start getting the hemming and hawing and the circle around and so forth, then you know you're talking to somebody who's talking out both sides of their mouth. So then you got to reel them back. You got to reel them back into, okay, so since obviously that's a little bit of a stretch for you right now to imagine that even being possible, what can you imagine is possible for you? And usually, if you get to that kind of a conversation, most people can only imagine double what they're making now. That's about as far as they can see themselves at this moment. And then when they get there, they can see themselves doubling that. But so it's when you ask the follow-up question like I just did, and the follow-up to that, what that does is it really helps people that you're talking with realize you're not just you're not just giving them a sugar pill, that you actually maybe do have a solution, that you actually maybe do know what you're talking about, that you actually do have something to offer. It's with those follow-up questions that are the right follow-up questions, they realize that they're talking to a serious person. And then you'll see their responses become more conditioned, more serious. So it's important that you know what you're looking for. And then if you do identify people who are more than anxious to tell you how much they want to make, just make sure that that's a real story, that there's
Yes.
where that's coming from. And like I said, the more you discuss it, the more serious you appear to them, then the more serious they'll take the conversation. So then when you invite them to explore this, it's not pie in the sky. It's not, yeah, I'm going to just say yes to this person, but I'm not going to do anything. It's not that. It's a conversation where they get confidence that maybe there is a solution on the other end of this, and all I need to do is investigate this a little bit to find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing, Paul, too, is from the standpoint of everywhere I've been, whether it's Yellow Page advertising, the movie business, oil and gas, whatever, it's numbers. Not everybody is suited for everything. So you have to kind of you sort through people. We were taught that early on. You're in the sorting business. Some will, some won't, and who's next? And again, also the next thing to look at is timing. Sometimes people's time isn't right today, but it's right tomorrow. And those things apply too. So, but it's a matter of knowledge of circumstance. So you gain the knowledge through practicing. You then understand the circumstances with which you're dealing with. And then when you communicate with people, you understand where they're at. And like Michael said, well, the guy wants $500,000. That's great. It's really nice to make 500,000. And like he said, what brought him back to earth was, what are you making now? He's making 50,000. And then the next question was, look how easy that came out. Well, what are you willing to do? And again, like Michael found out, when I asked people those kind of questions, if they hemmed and hawed and hesitated, I knew that they were just telling me a story. But if they immediately said, well, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, that was the guy, because there was no hesitation in their communication. And we found that out in training, that when you ask questions, listen to how long it takes to get an answer. Sometimes you never get the answer. You can ask a person, well, how are you today? And then they say, that it's kind of like, I'm having a rough day today, and the weather's nasty, and my brother just fell off a chair. They didn't answer your question. They just walked around. I mean, communication's a skill, to learn how to communicate, listen, answer, acknowledge, all those kind of things, and with intention. I'm putting out a video that's coming out maybe next couple of weeks about this, so it gives you some more schooling. But again, it's like that's all I'm going to say on that.
No, absolutely.
Anybody else before we transition here? I want to go back to the call this weekend. One of the things that I like that Luis talked about, um, the way he positioned the opportunity about compounding time. That I love the connection he made. Money is the result. Time is a resource. Money is a result. Time is a resource, and that's real important when you understand the value of time. And that being the more pertinent conversation when it comes to really helping somebody understand what it is that we do. Why are we involved in network marketing? Why network marketing? Because it's about compounding time. It's taking your most precious resource and multiplying it. And if you
Freedom,
can do that, then money is no longer a limitation.
freedom.
Absolutely.
I had never heard it put quite that way. I liked it very much too.
So integrate that into your conversations with people. Why network marketing? Because it's about compounding time, our most precious resource, multiplying
And
time.
Michael, expand on that idea. Give example.
So
You're
let's
talking.
let's say we're 22 people on the call tonight. So if I was by myself, then I would be, if I worked in a business where it was just about what I did, then I would be compensated for, let's say, 10 hours a week. Let's say that was my side business, my side hustle. I'd be compensated for my 10 hours, however much I'm able to be productive in those 10 hours. Let's say that production is $500. Let's say Mike DiMuccio is productive to the tune of $500, working 10 hours a week. That's my return. Well, if I had 21 people and me, and those 21 people were like me, on average, productive to the tune of about $500, working 10 hours each. 20 times 10 is 200 hours. Those 200 hours are producing 5,000 instead of 500, because it's 20, so it's more than that. It's 10,000. They're producing 10,000 in business. So if I wanted to make $500, I could either make $500 on the 10 hours that I'm working or a percentage of the $10,000 that's being created by those other people in the network. Well, what would that be for $5? It's 5%, right? 5% of 10,000 is 500, right? So if I was earning 5% of the volume generated by the people in my organization, I'd be making the same amount of money as if I was working the 10 hours by myself. So I would rather make a small percent off a large production of volume from a large number of people than 100% from my own production. And what if then that number wasn't limited? It's 20 today, it's 200 a year from today. It's 200 a year from today, it's 2,000 5 years from today. It's 30,000 10 years from today. So now you're earning a percentage of the production of 30,000 people versus 100% of the production of yourself. Most people, that's how they live, day to day, paycheck to paycheck, linear income, trading time for money. They work X number of dollars, they make Y dollars in income. And then they think getting a raise is a big deal. You know, a 5 or 10% raise, if they're lucky, is a big deal. Well, you could be compounding that every month. You could be getting a raise every month by compounding your business. How? Learn how to sell this concept instead of a product. Nice, Dave. Learn how to sell the concept of compounding time. Far greater. The results of learning how to sell that is much greater than the results of selling a product. You might sell a product today and make $200, but then there's no more $200. You have to sell that product again and again and again and again. But if you invested in learning how to sell the concept and teaching those people who bought into the concept to sell the concept, now the concept has growth. It can invite and include other people. As that compounds, so does your income. So the value of your time as a resource, understanding your time as a resource is precious because it is the only thing that's common to all people on planet Earth is the amount of hours in a day that we have. What's different is how you take it, what you do with those hours. Some people trade them away for a wage. Others invest them for profit. What's better, wage or profit? Well, to the person who needs a security blanket because they never grew up, they need to know that if I do this, I get that. They lost their freedom to the idea of security. And that's how the government manipulates you. They keep you forever more distracted and out of balance so that you crave security. Oh, the good old days, if only. Oh, don't worry, we have a solution. We'll just tax you through the roof one more time, and that'll pay for the appearance of security. And then we'll create other problems and we'll cause you to feel insecure, and then we'll promise you security with this other solution, which adds to the tax bill. So at the end of the day, you're paying whose wage? There's no freedom in that. It's a vicious cycle. But freedom comes if you're able to create a multiplicity of time where you get both income and time. So the most precious thing you could teach yourself or anybody is how not to be a slave to money, but to be able to create time by multiplying time. And now money is a consequence. It's not the cause.
Mike, what I think I'm hearing you saying is that people express need for money and need for wealth as their two most important needs. But whether they know it or not, the thing that we can help them most with is personal growth and their change of mindset about how the world works. If you tell people that, they run away, but that's really what we need to be doing.
You're right, but if the motivation is at the end of the rainbow is the freedom that they're after, they'll stick around and they'll get the lessons and they'll grow and they'll become successful and productive. That's how it works. The people who are successful in business are people who have developed themselves and have become knowledgeable about the business they're in. Think about this. I'll give you an example that we're most familiar with, real estate. Everybody knows a real estate agent. You probably have two or three in your family. And you go out and get your real estate license, and now you put a shingle on you got your business card, and now you prop yourself up. But do you know how many real estate agents actually make any money?
Practically nobody.
Practically none. It's about 1% that actually are wealthy. The rest are just basically trading time for money. And if they actually broke it down and they looked at their income based on the number of hours they work, they would be making below minimum wage. That's the very fact truth. There's over 30,000 real estate agents in the city of Toronto alone. I don't even think there's 30,000 listings in Toronto. So that's the reality. But people somehow get deluded into some idea that as long as I'm a real estate agent, I've secured myself. No, you just bought a ticket into the game. It's just a higher price admission, but you just bought a ticket into the game. It's what you do with it that's going to make a difference or not. Do you know how to take advantage of it? And in the case of Nikken, it's not a very high price. To get involved in Nikken and to hang your shingle and say, I'm a Nikken wellness consultant, I can show people how to create a happy, productive life, feel good every day. It's what, $50, and you get your Nikken distributorship, buy some products so that you get some clout and some experience in the game. And you might be all in for $1 or $2 or $3,000, which is not a lot of an investment for a business that can actually lead you to personal and financial freedom. So it's not a high price, and you're not competing with a limited supply. You don't have a certain number of homes for sale that everybody's fighting for a piece of that action. There's an unlimited population. It keeps growing. We can't even keep up to the growth of the population just from the infusion of immigration itself. So we have such this expansive opportunity to grow into, but it does require a commitment of personal growth because you're going to face reality, and reality is not an easy thing. People take drugs, they're alcoholics, they hide in entertainment, they spend 10 hours a day on their phone and social media. Why? Is that making them money? Is that leading them to personal financial freedom? No, it's a band-aid. It's like putting, their thumb in their mouth and sucking. It's like a soother. That's all it is. And so most people have been conditioned to be that way. But you want success, you're gonna come up hard against the truth. And the truth is, it's not for everybody. It's for the people who are willing to do what it takes, whatever it takes. Because you know what? It's going to cost you one way or the other. It sucks to be poor, but it doesn't suck to be rich. But you're still a human being, and you got to go through stuff. And that's not going to, it's the same whether you're rich or poor. People have their problems. But I'd rather do it with money than without. I'd rather have those that access than not have that access and the added stress, right? So what we teach, what we develop, what we help people comprehend is that they're worth more than they give themselves credit for. And what they need is access to information and knowledge to develop themselves and become proficient at something that has such an open end to it. And not only is it just an open end, it's not like real estate agents are out there creating other real estate agents and everybody winning financially. We get to do that. We get to light the torch for somebody else and help them get going. There's tremendous satisfaction in that. I just sponsored somebody today, myself, who came to me. How do you like that? They come to me. So how did that happen? Well, because I've conditioned my mind that I don't need to slug it out, that I'm worthy, I deserve it, and if anybody is serious about doing something, they'll find me. Like I carry that energy, that attitude. Why? Because I live with the end in mind. I live as though it's already done. That's a condition. it's a state of mind. It's not something that you're gifted. It's just something you got to work on. And when you have a bad day, you got to work on it twice as hard. You got to remind yourself it's just a bad day. There'll be more.
How did they find you?
That's another story. I'm not exactly invisible.
No, I know, but
I've known this person for a very long time, and they've known me.
okay. Okay.
Wes, you still have your hand up. Are you waiting to?
Yes, I haven't for quite some time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I took it down and put it back up a couple times. Um, if we really honor the five pillar philosophy, we should recognize that the fourth pillar is about sharing the five pillars with other people, and the fifth pillar is a reward for doing that. It can't be any simpler.
That's a good point. That's a good. Say that again. That's a really good one.
You have it recorded?
I do. I do.
No, if you really honor the five pillar philosophy,
Right.
and we all know the first pillars, and we know about family, but the fourth pillar is about teaching other people the five pillar philosophy, and the fifth pillar is the reward for doing that.
Yeah. Good point. Great point. So it's fully integrated. It's like the seed in the apple. The apple comes equipped with a means to actually replicate itself. And
It's
that's
built
true.
in.
That's true of every cell in your body. Every cell in your body is equipped to replicate itself. It's not just a cell, it's many possible cells in the future. And so every one of us is just the same thing. We're like the seed in an apple. We have the potential to replicate more apples, create more of us. Bela.
We're teaching rejuvenation and longevity, and I think a lot of people want to hear about that. You got 50 trillion cells in your body. You all have nutritional requirements, energy requirements, and aging is not a time clock. It's the accumulation of environmental damage. And if you slow down that accumulation of damage, you extend your life considerably. I feel like a 30-year-old, even though I'm 80.
Okay, so you see that?
And
You see how simple that is to explain? Aging is
You
the
know,
accumulation of junk in your body. And if you want to stave off aging, slow that process down.
I learned a trick, and that is when people ask me my age, I have to tell them that I'm 90 so that they'll believe me when I tell them I'm 80.
I never would have believed it, Wes. That's amazing.
Bela, on to you.
Hi, Mike. Well, I find this conversation very interesting because you said this person found you. I found Paula. Paula didn't come to me. I went to Paula. So now, several months in, I'm using the products and people are really noticing the changes in me. So wherever I go, I'm accosted. What's going on with you? What changed? How come you can walk all of a sudden? How come you look so great? How come you're glowing? How come this? How come that? And it's funny because I've signed 2 people in the last 9 days. I've also gotten a few customers, and I had to do an impromptu presentation to 16 people who all accosted me at once that what have you done that has changed your health? And I wish I had known that that was going to happen because I would have had an ABC and I would have had the 21 Club because I've actually done more than 21 calls and presentations, I guess, in the last week and a half. And anyways, the point I was making was that it's almost as if Nikken has taken a life of its own through me. So people are asking me before I can even approach them to ask them if they would be interested.
And that is the magic.
Yeah.
I mean, when you are a magnet like that, then yeah, you got to give credit where credit is due. Well, it's a two-way street, right? So you were given the opportunity and you chose to get involved. And then remember at the beginning, it wasn't
I
a
know.
cakewalk. Okay, there was some rough, right? Right. So what is that? That chalked that up to personal growth that you had to have that, you had to have that roughness. You had to, it's like a diamond, you got to polish it. And what comes out the other end is you got a better person, you're shining, people are recognizing, knowing this is all what this is. This is a living every day a better day. This is
Yeah.
what it means to feel good every day. It's improvement.
And now it started in my condo building because they're all older than me. They're seniors. I'm senior too, but they're much older than me. And so they've noticed the difference in my skin. They've noticed the difference in the way I walk, the way I talk, the confidence. Well, when you feel better, you do better. Simple. So even today, a lady approached me. She goes, I hear you're selling so and so. I said, I'm not selling anyone. I said, I'm promoting the path to good health. Are you interested? She just looked at me.
Right? Right? That's again, there you go. There's that. Here's the litmus test. Are you interested? Is that something you want for yourself? And then deer in the headlights. It's like
But Mike,
nobody's
a
ever
month
asked.
and a half ago, I wouldn't have had the courage to speak like that to
I
someone.
know. I know. Isn't this great? It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And so
I love these
yes.
calls that when with you and Dave, I just soak them up. And and I watch the YouTube videos, and then I'm doing a course with John Assaraf. So I'm hearing all that, and it's just, I don't know, something is, the mindset has switched. I no longer feel afraid to say, this is what I do. I'm proud of it because this has changed my life completely around.
Let me tell you why this is happening.
Okay.
Because you're no longer looking for their approval.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
So you're now coming from within, not from without. You're not coming from a place of outside. Notice me, tell me I'm right, tell me I made the right decision, back me up by saying yes yourself. You're not looking for the validation from the outside. The validation is coming completely from the inside because you're changing.
Yeah.
And then people are recognizing the change. It comes from the inside out, and then the outside mirrors it, reflects it back to you. This is what you're talking about, Bela. What I'm talking about here is the very law that I was taught. This is the very law I was taught. This is how it
Yeah.
works. Okay, so it's not like we're making this up. This is how it works. It's organic, it's natural, and it's the way it should be for it to be lasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the funny thing is, now I've gotten into my old circle, which is a whole bunch of very rich doctors. Their wives are wanting to buy Niken products. And they don't want to sign up because they say, no, no, we want you to have the 20%.
That's
Okay,
fine. That's
that's
fine.
fine.
The
Right?
doctor I enrolled today was a customer first.
Yeah. Well, so one lady I saw them on Sunday, and they all went nuts, and they made me do demos of everything that I had on my body, and they said, we want the catalog tonight. I sent it to them that night. One lady the next day put a $2,400 order. Because they don't need further proof. They see me. They saw me 4 months ago, and they saw me now, and they said, if nothing else has changed and this is you now, we want a part of that.
Yeah. And by the way, so if you go back, Bela, if you go back to when we first talked and we talked about good, better, best, because that's the way it is. That's the culture, good, better, best. And now looking back, obviously you're a product of the product, and it is facilitating the effort of your business. It's so if you were going to sponsor someone tonight
Mm-hmm.
and they said, what do you recommend I do to get started? What would you say concerning the products?
It depends on who I'm talking to. So, for example, I told all the doctors' wives the sleep system. Okay. So some of them said, well, we don't really know this product. We're seeing it today for the first time, hearing about it for the first time. Why don't we start with at least the insoles? And I said, by all means, but you'll really want the pink collagen. You'll really want the water system. You'll really want all the energy products, and you'll really want the sleep system. So they're on board with that. So they've got a plan in their mind, and I tell them what's,
But that's them as a customer?
that's them as a customer. But as
So-
a person who
my
signed
question is, if you just enrolled
Just change-
somebody
exactly.
as
So
a,
I
as a
enrolled-
business builder, what would you
with-
be telling them?
I enrolled them with the sleep set.
So
I said, you need this. And you know what I've noticed? In 1 week of them sleeping on the sleep system, the gentleman, his legs were black and blue from varicose veins. They're
And
not
now?
so black and blue. In 1 week, Mike. 1 week. So now she's just flying. She's just so happy.
yeah. So the good, better, best makes kind of a lot of sense, right?
Absolutely. So she's ordering the water system this week.
And that's the point being is we don't say good, better, best. We don't encourage people to invest in their products just so we can have a sale. We know the impact of the products directly affect the individual's ability to perform and function and subsequently their business, their ability to promote their business, which you are a living testimony of.
Yeah. And my child who lives with me, not a child, but my adult daughter who lives with me, who doesn't believe in anything, she came to me on the weekend. She goes, Mom, this is the first time since I was a little girl that my allergies are not bad. And she said, I'm convinced it's that air cleaner that you got. I said, you sleep with your room door shut. You work in your room with the room door shut. It's in the hallway. I don't think it reaches you. She goes, Mom, nothing else has changed. So, okay, I'll take that win.
You got it. Okay, Wes, last one, and then we'll wrap up here.
Well, I had similar experiences, Bella, but it was just one person. That it was Friday night, and well, Mike, you know the entertainment business, so the guy was the lead singer in this group, and I was sitting talking with him during the break, and he started complaining about his back, and so I gave him my Flex off my back, and he used it during the last set, and he's a customer now. And we had time to talk, and I pointed out that he was probably going to need the water and he's going to want the other. Anyway, I think once he gets his Flex and gets really happy with it, he'll probably sign up and want everything based on our conversation. And he's already found other people interested. So,
And
but
that
sometimes
further
it starts
and
small.
that validates, by the way, the business model. We know the slide that I show where it says you start with something and then it gets on and then goes to the next. And that's that cash flow engine that, customers continue to evolve in our product line. So it's the real deal, guys. It's just a matter of letting people know about it. And your confidence goes through the roof when you come at it from inside out, not outside in. So one of the reasons why we set goals is because that's an inside out thing. That's about you achieving something for yourself. That's an inside out. And so that we know that its success begins from the inside. We know that personal development is a cornerstone of success of any kind. I'm glad if you're taking up the Asraf book or any book for that matter and doing some of your own studying to sharpen the axe, sharpen the mind, because that is the very thing that's going to make the difference between a good day and a bad day. It's how you interpret the information of the day. And, at the end of the day, is there really a bad day? You got to live a day. And that's a good thing, right? And you learn. If you learn from that experience, then it's a better day because you're gaining knowledge. And what do we know about knowledge? How does that translate into success? It's the how to succeed. So you're gaining all the time. So thanks everybody for joining. I don't know if there was anybody else that we left out because a lot of you didn't get a chance to talk, but that's it for tonight. Look for the recording, share, and Dave will be hosting the next few evening. So please help him out. You know, he does need a hand every now and then. So give him give him some of your love and support, and have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Mike.
Thank you.